Thank you, Mrs. Schuler. Members of the selection committee, faculty, parents, and students, welcome to Kent Hill School's National Honor Society Induction Ceremony. We are gathered here to formally recognize these students who have been selected by our faculty for successfully completing their candidacy to be inducted as members of Kent Hill School's chapter of the National Honor Society. Thank you all for joining us tonight and for your support of these wonderful students. For any NHS members who are here this evening or who happen to be viewing this ceremony online, we hope that this ceremony will serve as a reminder of the standards of excellence that we are charged with maintaining as members of the nation's oldest, largest, and most prestigious student recognition program. Founded over 100 years ago, the National Honor Society currently has over 1 million participants around the world. Members of our chapter serve as role models for other students in our community. They have worked hard in the classroom and have demonstrated dedication and commitment to their sports and activities. In addition to the strong academic records which establish the eligibility for membership, our chapter members serve our school and community by giving their time as volunteers. Some favorite volunteer activities of this bunch include changing the story walk at the Reed Field Library, giving tours to prospective Huskies, helping neighbors in need, or working on a blood drive. These students understand that serving others is a meaningful way to improve upon their own self-worth and competence. We are proud of all of their efforts and welcome their energy as new NHS members. Membership in the Kentsville School chapter of the National Honor Society has been earned by these candidates through the effective demonstration of the 4 qualities that serve as standards for the society. Current members of the chapter will now review these qualities for the candidates. We begin with scholarship. I forgot to light the middle candle. So we're going to get this done. There we go. Christine, will you light the middle one too, please? Thank you.
Scholarship. Scholarship denotes a commitment to learning. A student is willing to spend hours reading and studying, knowing the benefits of a cultivated mind. We should continue to learn, even when formal education has ended, for human education ends only with the end of life. Knowledge is one of the great elements in life, which leads to the highest success. It can only be acquired in one way, through diligence and effort. Learning furnishes the lamp by which we read the past, the torch guiding us to understand the present and the light that illuminates the future. Candidates have the charge to continually expand their worlds through the opportunities inherent in scholarship.
you, Christina. Next, we have service.
My office is service. Service can be established in the routine of the day's work where many opportunities arise to help others, both at school and in the community. A willingness to work for the benefit of those in need without monetary compensation or public recognition is the quality we seek in our members and promote for the entire student body. We are committed to volunteering our time and talents into the creation of a better tomorrow.
Yes. Next, we have leadership.
Leadership should exert a wholesome influence on the school. In taking initiative in the classroom and in school activities, the real leader strives to help others to reach their common goals of success. The price of leadership is sacrifice, the willingness to yield one's personal interests for the interests of others. A leader has self-confidence and will go forward when others hesitate. No matter what power and resources may exist in the school, community, or nation, they are not effective without the guidance of a wise leader. Leadership is always needed. Thus, to lead is a meaningful charge to each of our members. Thank you.
Thank you, Amira. And finally, Gigi is going to talk to us about character.
Character is the force within the individual that distinguishes one person from another. It creates for each of us our individuality and our goodness. It creates for each of us our individuality and our goodness. Without character, one cannot respect oneself, nor hope to attain the respect of others. It is this force of character that guides a person through life and once developed, grows steadily within. Character is achieved and not received. It is the product of constant thought and action, the daily striving to make the right choice. By demonstrating such qualities as respect, responsibility, trustworthiness, fairness, care, and citizenship, we may hope to prove by example that we value character.
Thank you, Gigi. Now, Mrs. Nanoff will lead us in reciting the NHS Pledge.
At this time, will the new inductees please rise, raise your right hand, and repeat the pledge. The audience can follow the text as printed in your program. I pledge to uphold the high purposes of the National Honor Society, to which I have been selected. I will be true to the principles for which it stands. And will maintain and encourage the high standards of scholarship, leadership, service, and character.
Thank you. Thank you. You may be seated. And now, as your name is called, please step forward onto the stage to receive your tokens of membership. First row. The whole first row. Great. Okay. Ready? Maddie Agrafovo. Kate Blaze. Miriam Bruner. Adriana Ducey. Anna Fabricante. Grayson Frothingham. Lena Hannon. Elise Inch. And the second row? Bailey Joyce. Grace Muir. Caroline Netton. Adrian Piper. Samantha Rowe. Anna Schafflechner. Alex Wang. Maren Welch. And Scout Woodcock. Yay. So I'm just standing here thinking what an amazing group of young people these are and how fortunate we are to have these kids with us here at Kents Hill. So round of applause for that. Congratulations. So now I would like to ask you to join me in welcoming our keynote speaker for this evening's ceremony, Mr. Alec Johnston. Alec Johnston graduated from Kents Hill in 2006 and from the University of Maine in 2013 with a degree in electrical engineering technology. After graduating Kents Hill, Alec and his family established the Marley Fund in memory of his sister and worked to make improvements at the Alpine Training Center and created the Marley Scholarship to help deserving students attend Kents Hill. Professionally, he currently designs and manages construction for hyperscale data centers and also serves as a major in the Maine Air National Guard. He lives in West Gardner with his wife Kelsey and their daughter Emma. Please welcome Mr. Alec Johnston.
Good evening. As Ms. Reynolds said, my name is Alec Johnston. Congratulations to all of you. It takes a lot of work to get into the National Honor Society. You should be proud of yourself and glad of your achievement. So, as Becca mentioned, I graduated in 2006. That feels like it should have been yesterday, but it was actually 20 years ago, and that's kind of depressing. But as would happen when I was in school and part of the National Honor Society, and I'm sure you've had a lot of random people come up and talk to you about service or some other aspect of the Kensal core values or something about why that's important, and a lot of it probably sounds like blah, blah, blah. I am hopeful that I'm not one of them. So, service is important, and you're told that all the time, but why? The reason why it's important is that helps us foster the communities that we've grown up, the groups of people that we like to be around, the things that make us who we are. So by giving back, by having that service, that helps foster that community, that group of friends, all those things that help made us who we are for those that come after us, and also helps keep it going for us too. It's not just about everybody else. So in doing this service, it doesn't have to be a slog. It's not like, oh, it's a rainy, terrible day, I'm going to go rake some old lady's lawn to make her feel better and me feel better about myself or something like that. It doesn't have to be like that. It can be fun. When I was a kid, and I mean, I still am a kid, if you ask me, I'll tell you that, I always liked fire. I think all boys do, but I liked fire. And I think I had a couple of options. One was either I become an arsonist and I go to jail, or I become a firefighter. And I think a million years ago with Mr. Welsh, I was served while he was also in the Wayne Fire Department. So I chose to become a firefighter, and it was a lot of fun. Like, I got to run into buildings that were on fire. Sometimes for training, I even got to start the fire myself and then put it out multiple times. It was really cool. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. And in doing so, in having fun in doing that, I was doing something that our community very much needed. I grew up in Fayette. It's a mile and a half down the road, very small town. We don't have money for a big-time fire department. We rely on volunteers, like a lot of places in Maine. And by doing something I enjoyed, I fulfilled a vital service that our community needed. There was somebody that could call, that would show up when you were in trouble. When you called 911, they'd ask us to go out and help you out. That was our job. That's what we volunteered for, but it was fun. As Ms. Reynolds mentioned, we started the Marley Fund my senior year in school. And this all started about, unfortunately, tragedy struck my family, and my sister was killed my senior year. And through that tragedy, one of the things that really stuck out to me is I would like to do something to honor her memory. I'd like to do something to try and be good by it. Try and do something to make it better, make myself feel better. At the time, I was on the ski team here, and I really like skiing. I still really like skiing. My wife, Kelsey, probably would say I have a problem, but I ignore her when she says that. So, at that time, through that grief, I still knew I really liked skiing. So, in working with my parents, I said, why don't we hold a ski race? We'll do it for middle school kids, because my sister was in middle school at the time, and maybe some high school kids, and we'll turn it into a fundraiser. Let's try and raise some money. Let's do something about this. Maybe we can buy a new round of gates, or some other thing for the ski hill, help kids around here go and enjoy some of the things that I liked. Well, it turns out that we were actually really successful that first year. We raised a bunch of money. We did, and I had fun doing it. So we decided to do it again and again. And we did it for like 14 years. We had 14 races and raised a pile of money. And if any of you have ever been over the ski hill, the tow rope that I hear still runs way too fast used to be powered by an old Chevy bus engine. And we were able to raise enough money, and that was one of the last things that we did over there, was to make that electric. So now it was still too fast, but was quiet. We also set up the Marley Scholarship, and that was, and our intent was to help kids from the area experience all of the fun and enrichment that I had at Kings Hill. And we were able to develop that into a trust, or an endowment, I should say, that allows students to attend Kings Hill, to really help them out. And this all came about because I like skiing. I was doing something that was fun. And in doing something that I enjoyed, that I looked forward to, and that I was always marked in my calendar every year, we were able to do something good with it, something that was lasting, something that really helped our community. Also, as Ms. Reynolds mentioned, I'm a major in the Air National Guard down in Portland. And I joined and started for, a lot of the reasons that young people would join the military. It's a great way to pay for school. It's a good way to get, fun adult things like health insurance. Also, there's, a level of patriotism and wanting, and at that point, also wanting to volunteer and pull my own weight. And that was a long time ago. I received my commission. I went through training, all that, in 2014. I am long past the point of all of the taglines that they use recruitment to try and get you to join. Like, that's all worn off. But I actually really have a lot of fun. I get to do a lot of really cool things and go to a lot of really cool places that not many people get to do. Also some less cool places, but it's stuff that's unique, that's fun. And when you look at it in the past, even the not cool places, you think, man, I would never been able to do that. And in doing so, by me volunteering to be in the military, in the U.S., we don't have conscription. My wife doesn't have to join. You don't have to if you don't want to. That is another way that I can go and I can do something that's fun. Yes, I get adult things like health insurance from it, but it's fun. And it allows me to give back. It allows me to help others have options so they can do what they want. They can pursue the careers they want. They can do those things. And I'm having fun doing it. So, really, what's the point of all this? Yes, I've done some stuff and gone some things, and, you may or may not remember my name after this, and that's totally fine. What I would like you to do is remember that giving back to your community can take many forms. But it really should be fun. You should do something that you enjoy, something that makes you happy and look forward to doing it. Because if you would like to make a lasting impression or a lasting impact on your community, that's how you do it. By going and trudging out in the rain and, cleaning up some park or something like that. If you enjoy doing that, absolutely. If that's your reason to get outside and do stuff. But if it's a slog, don't. Find something else. Find something that helps give you fulfillment, that you look forward to doing. Because if you do that, you'll do a better job at it. You'll do it more than once. It'll be something that will be part of your life, and like, hey, I have all these things. Oh yeah, and I do this. I am a firefighter. I work for a charity, or I'm on the board, or I serve in the military as a volunteer, or you do one of these things. And that's how you can develop that lasting impact. That thing that you will leave your name on and that people remember you for. So, again, thank you very much for having me. Congratulations on your achievement. You should be very proud. And I wish you the best. And as a parting word, find that thing that's fun, that helps give back. And thank you very much, and have a good night.
Thank you so much, Alex. Now, our Director of Teaching Excellence, Dr. Kate Cook, will offer her congratulations and closing remarks.
Good evening. Thank you, Alec, for your meaningful words on service, and I can concur. I became a ski patroller because it's fun and it's a way I can give back. To Christina, Yaz, Amira, and Gigi for your reflections on scholarship, leadership, service, and character. To Ms. Reynolds and Ms. Nanoff for this beautiful evening and for everything you pour into National Honor Society throughout the year. And most importantly, congratulations to the 2026 Kents Hill National Honor Society inductees. You're here tonight because you've demonstrated excellence in scholarship, leadership, service, and character. You've excelled in your schoolwork, you've tutored peers, you've led initiatives around campus, you've shown up consistently in ways that your community can count on. Your advisor letters were full of stories about who you are, curious, caring, responsible individuals with integrity and courage at your core. This ceremony is a moment to stop, to mark, and to celebrate the success and accomplishments you've achieved to date. You're joining the oldest and largest co-curricular organization for high school students in the United States. And tonight, you take on its charge to lead, both within and beyond our campus. When I talk about leadership, I mean something specific. Not just holding a title or setting an example, though those things matter a lot. True leadership, in my view, is the relentless pursuit of making the world better. It is the work of an innovator, a disruptor, a person of principle who brings others along. Tonight, I want to offer you two challenges as leaders, and both are rooted in the same idea of lifelong learning. Not learning that culminates in a test or in a paper, but instead a deep pursuit of truly understanding the world and the courage to act on what you find. So my first challenge is to be curious. And I hesitated on this example, but I decided you're National Honor Society inductees so you can handle the science that I'm about to go into here. When I was earning my master's in education at Northwestern, I took a science teaching methods course with Dr. Brian Reiser, who would eventually become a lifelong mentor. The first assignment was to deeply unpack what we actually wanted students to learn in a unit that we were planning. I chose genetics. It seemed relatively easy. I had a neuroscience degree, I had graduate level biology, I had a prestigious 5 on my AP biology exam. So as a diligent National Honor Society alumna, I completed the assignment thoroughly and handed it in feeling really confident. The next 3 weeks proved to be some of the most challenging intellectual periods of my life. Over these next 3 weeks, Dr. Reiser pressed me pretty relentlessly on what I actually meant when I said that I wanted students to learn about dominant and recessive inheritance patterns. What do dominant and recessive really mean? Beyond just the number of copies you need to have in order to see a particular trait. Do all dominant traits behave the same way? Why and how? And after 3 weeks, and quite a bit of frustration and some tears, I had to admit something deeply horrifying. That despite all of my education and accomplishments, I had never once stopped to ask how the genetic code actually produces a visible trait. I had memorized symbols, uppercase and lowercase letters. I had memorized transcription and translation, but I had never stopped to connect the two. And even worse, I had never really stopped to think about what each of those symbols actually represent. When I finally dug in, here's what I found. The genetic code is literally a recipe for building proteins. And in most cases, that dominant allele says, make the protein. And the recessive allele doesn't really say anything, or it makes a mistake and says something entirely different. That's sometimes the way it works. Sometimes it works really differently. Sometimes that recessive allele is the one that says, make the protein, and you need to make a ton of the protein. So the example is in P53, a protein. It repairs mutated DNA, helping to protect against cancer. If you have 2 working copies, you produce plenty of P53 to check that DNA. But if you only have 1 working copy, you only produce half the amount that you really should need. Meaning that each cell only has half of its spell checkers. With fewer proteins checking that DNA, you have a greater likelihood of mutations going uncorrected, and thus a higher likelihood of developing cancer. So that lowercase a, when we build Punnett squares, actually represents something. It represents the idea that the protein either makes or doesn't make, that the genetic code either makes or doesn't make a specific protein. That question, how and why, that Dr. Reiser pushed on quite relentlessly, forced me to dig deeply into what I actually knew and understood, and didn't know and understood. And for the first time in my life, I was challenged to question my understanding, to connect to bigger ideas, and most importantly, to admit that I didn't really understand something. Ultimately, those questions of how and why caused me to unravel years of memorized biology and rebuild it from the ground up. Slowly, I replaced memorized facts with something far more powerful, deeper learning. And when I had that realization that I had spent years only partially understanding something that I believed myself to be an expert at, I had to go back and question everything else I had already learned. Did I really understand why, from Earth, we only ever see one side of the moon? Did I fully comprehend what we're actually doing when we do long division? And had I ever truly grappled with the social context behind the Emancipation Proclamation? Or had I simply been repeating information back? I'm still and forever in this pursuit of deeper understanding, asking, questioning, connecting, and yes, sitting at my kitchen table with my husband, working out the intricacies of ATP synthase, or chatting about nuclear forces with my dad over coffee. Sure, it makes me an epic nerd, but I like to think that it's simply my curious human brain, hungry to understand and to explore, and it is one of my greatest joys in life. So for you, I hope, and I wish, and I challenge you to forever embrace curiosity. The engineers at Toyota use a practice called 5 whys. When something is perplexing or confusing or seems like a problem you can't solve, you ask why 5 times to reach the true root of the problem. I challenge you to bring this practice into your everyday life. Each time you ask, you won't find a single fact. You'll find complexity, you'll find human emotion, you'll find ideas that no algorithm can solve. My second challenge, to be courageous. In school, courage looks like trying again after failure and doing the hard thing when no one is watching. And that is real courage, and you've already demonstrated it. But the courage I'm asking you to carry forward is something larger. The philosopher Thomas Kuhn wrote that intellectual progress doesn't happen in a straight line. For most of history, thinkers work within a shared paradigm, a common framework to understand how the world works. But revolutions happen when intellectual revolutions happen when someone encounters evidence that breaks that framework, and then has the courage to say so. These moments are almost never popular. Galileo was placed under house arrest for insisting that the Earth revolves around the sun. Nikola Tesla, whose ideas on alternating current ultimately powered the modern power grid, faced a public smear campaign. Ignaz Semmelweis, who discovered that hand washing drastically reduced deaths in childbirth, was ridiculed and eventually institutionalized. Every major paradigm shift in science and medicine and social progress has been laid by someone or a small group of people who saw something that others hadn't. They believed in it despite resistance, and they kept saying it anyway. That is the courage I'm asking of you. Not just to have new ideas, but to share them. To stand for what you believe in, even when the path isn't clear, even when it's lonely, and even when the people around you aren't sure yet. You'll face moments in your life when the right answer is not obvious, when people you respect disagree, and when the ethical path is genuinely hard to see. And in these moments, come back to the foundation you've built here, your instinct to serve, your commitment to integrity, your knowledge of what it feels like to stand for something and bring others along with you. Curiosity without courage stays in your head. Courage without curiosity can lead us astray, but together, rooted in care and responsibility and integrity, the character your advisors wrote about, they're how you change the world. Be curious, be courageous, ask why, and then ask it 4 more times, and then when you find your answer, step forward and stay true to your ideas. I'm so proud of each of you and genuinely excited about the future you are going to build. Congratulations.
Okay. I would like to thank our selection committee, as well as the members of our community who made this ceremony and its broadcast possible, and their names are listed on your program. And thank you to each and every one of you for attending our program this evening. Students, if you will please stand, please join me once again in applauding all of our new Honor Society members. Thank you. Now Mrs. Schuler will play as the students head out to the entryway to join us for some refreshments.